Hi. I want to talk about the way that we undervalue or place value on, well, specifically women in our culture and why these things are wrong. The first thing that I'll talk about is music. Obviously, we've talked about in this class music videos and things like that, but in the songs themselves, the way that there's like R&B songs and hip hop songs and even country songs in a lot of ways when they talk about women like shaking their sugar shakers, and it seems like women are looked upon as as items, as something that is just there for a man's pleasure or to make a man happy. And it's like what we want or how we feel about something doesn't matter as long as we're making a man happy. And that drives me crazy. Another way that we devalue women in our culture is with advertisements. And there's a song that's out right now that drives me crazy. It's this Megan Trainor song, and she's talking about how she's all about that bass. And I have some of my curvy friends who say things like, "Oh, well, this is a great song because it's talking about how it's okay to be curvy." And in some ways, that's what she's talking about. But in other ways, it's not really what she's talking about, because when I see her performing the song, she's wearing a waist cincher. So it's okay to be curvy as long as you're curvy the right way in the right places to sell music. And I have a problem with that because that's not teaching you to love yourself or to love your body or to love others. It's teaching you to want to change yourself to fit a certain standard of beauty, and that standard changes all the time. When really that is not what makes a person, specifically a woman, have value. So next, I want to talk about the things that we think about when we think about what makes a woman more valuable woman. So I have some friends who say things like, "You're not a real woman if you don't cook," or "You're not a real woman if you don't have kids," and none of those things make you a real woman. Whether you can cook or whether you cannot cook, it doesn't make you a woman, and it doesn't make you not a woman if you can't do those things. And to place value on a person based on things that they can do or things that they have, it's really unfortunate, and it's really an ugly thing that we do. The last thing that I want to talk about is something that is really drives me crazy, and it's slut shaming. And this is a terrible, terrible thing that we do because nobody knows why anybody does the things that they do. And I'm guilty of doing this in the past, and I've really tried to think about the things that I say and the things that I do so that I don't do this anymore to other women, because it happens so much and it's so ugly. For example, if you know a woman who is sexually active and people like to say, "Oh, well, she's a hoe," or "she's a slut," or "she's this," or "she's that." But just because a woman is sexually active or dresses provocatively doesn't mean that she's a slut, and it doesn't mean that she's more or less valuable than any other woman who does or does not behave in that way. And that's a big problem that we have. Another thing is when we talk about sex workers. I saw something on Facebook not that long ago where a woman who was a porn star was beaten by her husband. She was brutally beaten. And the things that people were saying were just disgusting. They were saying that she deserved it. She got what she deserved. What does she expect? She's a porn star. But just because she's a porn star does not mean that her life doesn't have value. It does not mean that it's okay for any man to put their hands on any woman or to beat any woman. And I think that as women, we need to stand together and stop saying, "You're not a real woman if," or "You are only a real woman if." We also need to stop belittling people for things that we don't understand. And finally, we need to start changing our idea of what makes a person valuable. People are valuable because they're people, because they are who they are in their own unique selves. And I think we should start seeing the value and the beauty in people for who they are and not what they have, what they look like, or our personal opinions of what they should or should not be doing. And that's it.